All right, let's just jump right into this one. Today's explainer is looking at something literally millions of us have experienced, but almost everyone completely misunderstands. Broken bones. You know the drill, right? You get a fracture, you get that iconic white plaster cast wrapped around your arm, and you're good to go. But when we actually look at the realistic biology of bone healing, it turns out the plaster isn't the star of the show at all. The real hero? It's you. Let's look at what's really going on under that cast.
So here's a question for you. Does a plaster cast actually heal your broken bone? I mean, really think about it for a second. We slap it on, wait a few weeks, crack it open, and boom, the bone is fixed. It's so easy to just assume that this rigid plaster has some kind of, medical healing property that actively knits your bones back together.
Well, spoiler alert, that is a complete myth. Actually, the realistic truth is so much cooler. The cast doesn't repair your bone at all. Literally 0%. It's just a passive scaffold. It just sits there providing stability. It's the active microscopic cells inside your own biological systems doing all the heavy lifting to repair that fracture naturally.
So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to cover 1. The immediate cleanup response. 2. Medical alignment. 3. Your cellular construction crew. 4. Remodeling. And finally, 5. A little bit of plaster history. All right, let's kick things off with phase 1, the cleanup, which is your body's immediate response.
And I mean immediate. Your body reacts incredibly fast, way before you're even sitting in a doctor's waiting room. The exact second that bone snaps, the healing process fires up. First, a blood clot forms around the break to stabilize things, which, causes that lovely swelling. But the real magic starts when the specialized white blood cells arrive. These are called macrophages. Think of them as the initial cleanup crew at a microscopic construction site. Their whole job is to quickly clear out the damaged tissue and prep the area so the real repair work can start.
Which brings us to section 2, medical alignment and casting.
Now, obviously, before you get that familiar cast put on, a few crucial medical steps have to happen. Step 1, the doctors do an X-ray assessment to see exactly what they're dealing with. If things are out of whack, they move to step 2, getting you comfortable with some pain meds or sedation. Then comes step 3, the reduction, which is basically realigning the fragments. And finally, step 4, wrapping the limb in a protective layer and layering on those wet plaster bandages that eventually harden into the cast we all know.
I want to zero in on step 3 for a second. In the medical world, they call this a reduction. It just means the doctor is carefully moving those displaced bone fragments back into their correct original positions. And this is an absolutely crucial foundation. Because think about it, if they don't reset the bone correctly first, your body's natural healing process is just going to cement that bone back together at a totally crooked angle. And really, that perfectly explains why you need the cast in the first place. Once the doctor finishes that reduction, the cast becomes this rigid, protective shell. Let's be realistic here. We humans are pretty clumsy, right? Without a cast, just bumping into a door frame, trying to walk, or even just rolling over in your sleep would completely shift those fragile little bone fragments out of place. The cast just locks in those exact, undisturbed, stable conditions your body needs to actually heal.
All right, let's move into section 3, the cellular construction crew.
This is where it gets wild. The coordination at this microscopic construction site is just unbelievable. We already mentioned the macrophages sweeping up the debris, but then you've got chondroblasts stepping in to produce cartilage. Right behind them are the osteoblasts. Think of them as the concrete pourers, dropping in hard minerals like calcium and phosphorus. And rounding it out, the osteoclasts, which act like meticulous little sculptors, removing any excess bone. It's literally a highly specialized, highly efficient biological workforce running 24/7 right under that plaster. So, what does the timeline look like for this crew? Well, immediately you get that blood clot. Then, over the next 1 to 2 weeks, the reparative phase builds up a soft callus. Give it several more weeks, and that upgrades to a hard callus. And finally, you hit the remodeling phase, which can actually take months. It's a marathon, not a sprint, guys. And that's exactly why you're stuck in that itchy cast for so long. Let's break down those calluses really quick. At the 1 to 2 week mark, those chondroblasts create a soft callus. It's basically a temporary cartilage bridge between the broken ends, but, it's pretty weak. This is exactly why the cast is so vital right now. It totally prevents movement, so this fragile, soft callus can develop without tearing. But then, several weeks later, the osteoblasts show up. They swap out that soft scaffold for a hard callus, packed with strong, rigid, mineral-rich bone tissue. And all the while, your cast is just standing guard on the outside.
Okay, moving right along to section 4, removal and remodeling.
Finally, the day arrives. It's time to take the cast off. Now, if you've never had this done, it looks terrifying. The doctor literally comes at your arm with a motorized saw, but don't sweat it. They use a special vibrating cast saw that easily slices through hard plaster or fiberglass, but, and here's the cool part, it does absolutely zero harm to your skin underneath. It feels a little weird, and yeah, it's super loud, but the whole thing is completely painless and over in just a few minutes.
But listen, just because the cast is in the trash and the saw is put away doesn't mean your body is calling it quits. Oh no, the healing actually continues for a long time through this remodeling phase. Remember our cellular sculptors, the osteoclasts? They step back in to shave down any bulky excess bone, while the osteoblasts keep actively strengthening the area. Over the next few months, your bone slowly regains its original shape and full strength. The cast job is totally done, but your cellular crew, they're still pulling overtime.
Finally, let's take a quick detour into Section 5, History of the Cast.
I'm sure you've heard the term plaster of Paris before, right? Well, it turns out it actually gets its name from a very real, specific place. The material comes from these massive natural deposits of gypsum that were found in Montmartre, Paris back in the day. And for a long time, it was the absolute gold standard for supporting broken bones.
Fast forward to 1851, and a Dutch military surgeon named Antonius Matthijssen figured out that if you just soaked normal linen bandages in plaster powder and water, it made this amazing, fast-drying, rigid support system. And honestly, for generations, that exact method was the way to treat a fracture. Obviously, today we've got some upgrades, lighter fiberglass, even waterproof casts. But what's kind of wild is that the core principle hasn't changed since 1851. You just provide a rigid shell and let the body do its thing.
So what's the big takeaway from today's explainer? It's simple. Your body is the real healer. The cast? It's just a passive supporter, a shield. The true miracle of recovery is a 100% realistic biological process. It's driven entirely by blood clots, debris-clearing macrophages, and those incredibly hardworking chondroblasts and osteoblasts.
I'm going to leave you with this final thought. If our microscopic cellular construction crews are this insanely efficient at completely repairing solid bone, what other microscopic miracles do you think are happening inside your body right this very second? It really makes you stop and appreciate just how wildly complex our biological systems are. Thanks for hanging out with us for this explainer, and hey, keep questioning the incredible world inside of you.